Hi, my name is Julie Dunn, and I am from Tiaverville, Mississippi, and I'm going to share with you my internship experience from this semester. So I did my internship with Anchored Hearts Community Resources, and they are a local nonprofit in my area. And what we do there is we help connect people to resources for needs that they're really lacking at the time. We've worked with people with disabilities, veterans, homeless, and even human traffic victims or survivors. So the first question is, how did you find or arrange the internship? I looked for months before my internship. COVID made it really kind of difficult to find one. I sent out professionally written internship inquiry emails, as well as making cold calls to try to get some kind of connections. Most of the people I reached out to did not even get back to me, which I kind of felt was a little bit unprofessional. But they didn't get back to me. And of the ones that did, all of them but one said that due to COVID, they were suspending internships indefinitely. And the one that did respond said that they had already gotten their internship for the semester. So it was a little bit difficult. I tried to go some other routes. I reached out on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, as well as on my ward Facebook page to see if anyone knew of any internship opportunities. I happened to know a woman who owned Anchored Hearts, and I had thought about her in the past, but it was a little bit of a drive for me. So initially I wasn't really wanting to go that far, but because I was having such a hard time finding an internship, I reached out to her anyway, and she was more than happy to accept me, and I was super grateful for that. So I should have just started there to begin with, but so don't discount any opportunities you may have in your area, especially if you find, like I did, that they're limited. So the next slide is, what were your responsibilities in the internship? I had a variety of responsibilities. I conducted client interviews, as well as doing intakes with those clients to be able to kind of assess their medical needs, as well as any life skills, education needs that they might have, like maybe they need a parenting class or a marriage class, or how to apply for a job, things like that. So those are some of the things I did. I also was responsible for creating some of their charts and organizing and maintaining other client files that were already available. I also had the chance to create and edit forms that were used inter-office. I was able to go on some home visits and to aid in some of the assessments that were done there. The registered nurse, my supervisor that I worked with, she did the actual assessments as far as mobility and things like that. But I was able to kind of help observe while we were there. Part of my job was to take notes about the things that I observed. Take notes on their behavior at the time, the cleanliness of their house, if it seemed like they had any needs that weren't being met, their emotional state, anything that we could use to put in their chart to kind of help us get a better understanding of what it was they actually needed and how we could best serve them. My favorite part of my internship was I had the opportunity to be able to develop workshops that I could then teach both to our clients and in the community. The workshop that I was able to create during my internship, I created a workshop for how to prepare for an interview. And that's something that a lot of us might take for granted. A lot of us might think it's an interview, it's no big deal, we've done 100 of them. But for some people, those things don't come so easily. And so sometimes others need direction and kind of a step-by-step to walk them through it. So those are some of the things I got to do in my internship. The next question is, how did you benefit the site you served at? So by me being there, because it was very small and a relatively new nonprofit when I started. So it was me, my supervisor, and one other person who was also kind of a secondary supervisor. So everybody was kind of wearing multiple hats. We were all having to do lots of things that weren't part of our official job descriptions. So my being there helped allow them to do their jobs like grant writing and community outreach and things like that to help bring in the clientele and the funding that the company needed. So on top of that, I was able to help create a more organized work environment. I was able to take on some smaller tasks to organize and get things running a little more smoothly. I was able to help expand their services to include things like the education classes. They weren't really focusing on that so much before, but when I started my internship, because that was something that was so important to me and that I was really interested in, my supervisor worked with me to help make that part of my position. I was also able to bring some new insight and new ideas into the company. My supervisor was very welcoming and encouraging of any new ideas from anyone, not just me. She really felt strongly that that's the way to improve, is to by taking experience and ideas and suggestions from other people and seeing where you can go with that. So that was a wonderful opportunity I had. And I was able to also contribute to a positive and energetic work environment. The next question is, how did you benefit personally from the experience? I gained a lot from this experience. My internship was wonderful. I loved it. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the opportunity I had to be able to serve people in the community. I gained a lot of insight into working in the family sciences field. There's so many diverse people and needs out there, and some that we don't even realize. One of the biggest things I learned about actually was human trafficking. Before a couple years ago, when I was driving down the interstate and saw a billboard, I did not even think that was a thing in my state. I live in Mississippi. It's not a big, it's not a big metropolis. It's not a large city. It's nothing like that. So it's not anything that it's not someplace that I would have expected to see a lot of human trafficking, but it really is. There's a lot of human trafficking, and there's a lot more involved in it than what I thought. It's not just children. It's not just women. It's a lot. It really is a lot, and it's more involved than I could have ever imagined. So that was something that I was interested in learning about, and something that I would like to work on in the future to bring more awareness to. I also gained perspective on conducting client interviews and intakes. I had done some intakes and those types of things before in my previous work as a massage therapist, but it's a little bit different when you're doing it from a medical or life skills need place. I also gained experience, like I said, working with different people with different types of needs, and there's some needs that I had not really considered before that people do need met, that they struggle with. And I was able to, through that, gain greater empathy for people in challenging circumstances. And I definitely gained a greater love for being able to serve and help them. One important connection between my coursework and what I experienced during my internship, the biggest one is definitely the human connection. You learn in the coursework in marriage and family studies, we learn about all different types of core needs, emotional needs, physical needs. You need food, clothing, shelter, you need love, you need acceptance, all these different things, all these different core needs. And that's true in coursework, learning it from books just as much, and even more so when you're actually dealing with the people. It goes beyond just knowing it and applying it are two different things. So that was really the biggest connection I made, was the human connection. Another important connection I made was that this work's not always easy. It's definitely not always easy. There's going to be bumps and things aren't always going to go smoothly. There's going to be clients that get upset for this reason or that reason. But that again goes back to the human connection. We have to learn to help people work through those things. But it also, you have to have a genuine desire. You have to want to do this. You have to have a willingness to learn, and you have to have the motivation to succeed. You really do have to want this. In the family sciences fields, you have to have the heart for it, because it really is about people. And all those things, they definitely apply to coursework. You're working with classmates and teachers in the coursework while you're learning about how to interact with people outside of it. But the internship connects the two. So that was the biggest thing I learned. Would I recommend this site or experience to other students? I definitely would. It was a wonderful experience. My supervisor was very gracious to allow me to try to work with her to kind of set parameters for my internship, and so that I could get the most out of it, and so that the company could get the most out of it as well. So it was a great place to work for. We were able to help a lot of people, and I was able to learn a lot about the people in my community. If you are in the Mississippi Gulf Coast area, there's not very many of us that I saw that were, but if you are, this would be a good place to do your internship, I believe. And again, if you are interested, here is the information to contact my supervisor, Ann Cho, at Anchored Hearts Community Resources. Thank you for watching.